Um, how do you see This is more of like a future based question, but how do you see Scientology growing over time and adapting to fit into social media better? Because I know that
So
that is
that's a rough one because so that's the thing. So Scientologists interacting with people,
yeah,
interacting with Scientologists, we're great. We're super easy to get along with. You take something like so you found me on Reddit, right?
yeah,
So I have this love-hate relationship with Reddit because it's on the one hand, it's anonymity gives
yeah,
you the ability to be free and open and not have to worry about consequences. And so you can say stuff you may not say, otherwise, because you can have a throwaway account and talk about something that's a little crazy. But the flip side of that is that you can say whatever the hell you want to say. And so as a result, I get some of the most nasty stuff on Reddit sometimes that is just like, whoa, guys, nastier than Twitter, definitely nastier than Facebook, and obviously nastier than LinkedIn, where people would be like, hey, your boss is going to see that, man. So it's kind of rough sometimes dealing with a completely anonymous platform, and so that's one of the reasons why a lot of times you're not going to see stuff. You don't see people like Scientologists engaging on Reddit much because it's a tough platform in that regard. You can it's a platform that's super easy to game, super easy to have a whole room full of trolls who are downvoting and upvoting stuff. You can give relevant responses that next thing you know they have 10 downvotes. You're like, okie doke, I see where the narrative is being driven here. So that's tough. So in terms of where to see Scientology going with that, that's a first step really was over the last couple of years where we launched our own TV station because that was one problem, in that you've got most mainstream media, and I'm sure it's not a surprise to anybody that it's driven by financial interests. I mean, everybody knows that the only thing that pays the bills at CNN is the advertisers, and the advertisers are, so you're going to have to basically bend to their wishes. And unfortunately, when it comes to Scientology, so there's one thing we don't like. We don't like people. We don't like forcible drugging. We don't like drugs. When it comes to the mind, really at all. I mean, obviously, medical is a completely different thing. Person needs a medical action. Well, obviously, we're going to say, hey, you have such and such a medical problem. Go see a doctor. But if you're depressed because your wife left you, this is not a medical problem. This has nothing to do with your body. So we've that field of business of the whole psychopharmaceutical industry is a real terrible place. It's one of the biggest industries in the world. We have put a significant amount of effort into exposing corruption in that regard, people being forcibly drugged and forcibly, when they disagreed with the status quo, then getting forcibly put into psychiatric institutions and stuff like that. We've been extremely vociferous, but also taking people to court and so forth. And some of if you go and go Google for the list of the largest pharmaceutical settlements that have happened in the world, we're behind a lot of those. And some of those are like $10 billion. And they really don't like us for that. I mean, they were doing criminal stuff. I mean, and as a result, I mean, $10 billion in some cases, unfortunately, is like a fraction of their advertising budget for Q1 kind of a thing. So they have just ridiculous amounts of money. So being able to flick money here and there to slime us on the internet is easy for them. So that's kind of why we had to make our own TV channel, because we can't get a word in edgewise on mainstream media. We could cure cancer and it wouldn't get a mention. So that's the first bit. We kind of had to have our own platform for that. There's going to be more that'll happen inevitably, and getting places where people can speak up that they're comfortable with. I mean, I kind of have a unique kind of I mean, I've been on the internet since whatever. I had my first website in '96, so I've been kind of doing this for a little while. So I've dealt with people being jerks to me on the internet for longer than most people have been on the internet. So I at least have that as an advantage. But a lot of people, they're just a parent and they just say, "Oh, hi, I'm a Scientologist," and then they got some, jerk that shuts them down. Then it's tough to deal with. So I guess it'll be a process, but like anything else, you hope that if you that the truth will prevail, and if you just keep being there and keep doing your thing and keep talking, that eventually people will come around and understand what you're about and what you really are, as opposed to what the interesting conspiracy theory says. I mean, there's been conspiracy theories about us that are wacky and crazy for 50 years. I mean, you might think that they're new, but they're really old. So, people saying that we, whatever. I mean, there's all kinds of craziness, but it's they and it's almost like how you can't shoot down some of these theories fast enough because they'll come up with something else interesting. Like that was one of the whole reasons I started a website when I first had kids, just because there was a couple other people, the Travoltas were having a kid, and so there's all the tabloids were all filled with all these wacky things about Scientologists can't talk to their babies for a year after they're born. We're like, where'd you come up with that? Like, I mean, that'd be amazing if we could get that done, but like, where'd you make that up from? So it's and it's just, and as soon as you put up an article, it says clearly, and you document it, but it's 10 times harder to document and refute a complete untruth than it is to just make something up,
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's an acceptable answer to your question, but it's
I just knocked out two
yeah.
questions in one go. So